Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mika. So we have a little change in scenery. I cannot stand in front of my bookshelves for a few number of reasons. First being my room is kind of getting like renovated right now and we have to fix a few things, so they are like completely covered in plastic wrap so you can't really see the books. And also I have crutches because I sprained my ankle, so I have no choice but to be comfortable and sit on my bed and film this video for you guys. So I went over to Instagram and Twitter and I asked you guys to tell me your unpopular bookish opinions, and y'all went in, okay? I saw a few of the responses and I was like, wait, I'm excited for this. But first things first, I do want to say thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. Book of the Month, I work with them all the time. I love them so much. If you aren't used to seeing this little blue box by now, you must be new here. Book of the Month is a monthly subscription service where you get to pick one out of 5 different hardcover new releases. They're carefully selected picks, and I promise you, no matter what genre you read, you will most likely find a pick for that month that suits you. And if it's your first time with Book of the Month, you get your first book box for only $9.99 if you use the code MikaAugust, which I will have here and link down below in my description. They sent me over their 5 book picks for November as well as 2 add-ons, so I'm gonna show them to you guys really fast. First up, we have The Family, then we have The Keeper of the Night, and this is by Kylie Lee Baker. Then we have The Collective, and this is by Allison Galen. Then we have How to Marry Keanu Reeves in 90 Days, and this is by KM Jackson, which, hello, the cover is so beautiful, like the sunset and her driving the car, and just iconic. And then we have A Little Hope, and this is by Ethan Joella. Another really cool thing about Book of the Month that I always love to highlight is the fact that they have their signature symbol on the spine and on the cover of the book. It honestly makes it so fun to kind of find which books look best on my Book of the Month shelves, so that's really cool. And it's like a special cover, so you can always like collect this edition. If like they have one of your favorite editions, you could probably use that as an add-on, which I'm going to show you guys the add-ons right now. First up, we have Will, and this one is one I'm actually very excited for. And then we have My Body by Emily Ratajkowski. I've been seeing like a bunch of supermodels post this book on their story, which is really funny, but another one that I'm really excited for. So thank you again to Book of the Month for sending me the 2 add-ons in order for me to show them to you guys. Those were all of the November picks for Book of the Month, and if any of those looked interesting to you, you can use the code MikaAugust again in order to get your first box for $9.99. Mind you, they're all hardcovers and they're all new releases. It's just an overall great deal. Let's get into all of your unpopular opinions. I don't know about y'all, but I'm really excited for this. So first up, this person says bully romance should be stopped. It's just romanticizing bullying. This is a little bit painful because I do like my dark romances, and I do like my romances that have a hint of like hate to love, and a lot of the time that does come with a little bit of bullying here and there. I completely get that bully romances are not for everyone. I think Wattpad ruined me. If you grew up reading Wattpad, like that was literally all there was on Wattpad. Every single fan fiction or like actual book that was written on Wattpad was basically a bully romance or like a enemies to lovers romance. So yeah, basically I'm just blaming Wattpad for me being the reason I am the way I am today. So the next one is I hate Kale. There are many reasons. So if you don't know, Kale is a character from Sarah J Maas's series Throne of Glass, and let me tell you, I kind of agree, but then again, I haven't read Tower of Dawn, which is like Kale's book. If you read the series, you know what Kale did, and you know why many people don't like him, which is kind of annoying because he was one of my favorite characters. What do you guys think about Kale? Do you guys like him? Do you guys not like him? I want to know. This one's painful. Okay, this person said friends to lovers trope is really boring. Friends to lovers is actually one of my favorite tropes. I feel like that's kind of not unpopular. I feel like a lot of people like enemies to lovers more than friends to lovers because they think that the angst is better in enemies to lovers, but I'm the opposite. I think that the angst is better in friends to lovers because you have that like pinning after each other and you guys don't know if you want to ruin the friendship or not, but then there's like those like sneaky glances and like you guys like each other but don't want to admit it. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm definitely a friends to lovers gal. Maybe that's more so on the unpopular opinion side, but I think we can agree to disagree because I think that friends to lovers is so fun. So this person says 1,000 boy kisses is not good. Oh, the tea. This one is a really popular book on TikTok or Book Talk, and I've seen the cover go around and like it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like something I would read. It seems like something I would have read like way back in the day when I first started reading like contemporary romance. I have no idea what that book is about, but I might still read it one day. I don't know. I just know it's really popular on Book Talk. So the next one says Colleen Hoover books are problematic. I, again, don't think this one is an unpopular opinion. I think a lot of people think Colleen Hoover's books are problematic. Listen, I've read my fair share of Colleen Hoover books, and I think it's really important that when you are a stan of an author or you really like an author, it's okay to like see the problematic aspects in their books and still enjoy them. Like, as long as you're aware and you're self-aware that what you're reading might not be the best, if you like it, who cares, you know? But I will say, Colleen Hoover's books do tend to have some problematic aspects in them occasionally. I think her more recent works have not been as problematic as her older works, but I think that is the case for like a lot of authors, and especially romance authors at that. I think a lot of romance authors' older works are not as politically correct as they are today. So this person says, I don't consider audiobooks reading, it's listening, which is totally fine. I personally think listening to audiobooks is reading because you're intaking the story at the end of the day. There's always that discourse of people trying to debate on whether or not audiobooks should be considered actually reading. I think it should be considered reading. I personally don't like listening to audiobooks, but that's just because the audiobooks that I've listened to just aren't that freaking good. So this person said books can be good without having to have romance. I agree. I agree that books can be good without having to have romance. I know, shocker, like what Mika says, that a book can be good and it doesn't have to have romance. Listen, I love romance in my books, okay? I most of the time will pick up a book because I know it's gonna have romance in it. But I will say, I have read a few books that I didn't know didn't have romance and I did enjoy them. I don't think that romance in a book is necessary for it to be enjoyable. However, I am a hopeless romantic at heart, and I like to vicariously live through other people and fictional characters. So, you know, I don't know, I just prefer when a book has romance in it because it's just fun to read about and to like self-insert myself, and when cute shit happens, I'm like, oh my god, I'm obsessed. But I think it all depends on like what you want out of reading. Like me, I just want serotonin and I want like cute shit to happen 24/7. But if you want like a more serious read and like a more, you know, analytical read, then I guess it doesn't have to have romance, right? I don't know. So the next one says Kingdom of the Wicked isn't good. Oh, that is an unpopular opinion. That book is so popular. I read Kingdom of the Wicked. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think I loved Kingdom of the Wicked because of the potential, like the romantic potential that we get in that book, the angst. Oh, I love it. So the next one is John Green's books are overrated. If you told 2012 Mika that a John Green book was overrated, I probably would have dropped dead right in front of you. I love The Fault in Our Stars. I think The Fault in Our Stars, the gorilla grip that book had on our society. Are you kidding me? To be fair, I didn't really read that many of John Green's books. Like, I think I tried to read Looking for Alaska. He had like a bunch of books. They all kind of followed the same format with the main character. They all suffered, I'm different, like I'm a wild card, I'm free girly, from what I've heard. So I just stayed away from them. I love The Fault in Our Stars though. I think that that will forever and always be like a classic in my brain. Reading while eating sucks. Food gets cold, you forget to eat, and the book can get dirty. So I do agree with that. I think a lot of the time for me, if I'm reading on my phone or like on a Kindle or my iPad or something like that, I don't mind eating because it's just easier that way and I know I won't get the book dirty. But I do find it really distracting. Like I can't, like I have to eat beforehand and then read, so that way I'm not thinking about food while I'm reading, because like I just can't multitask. I don't know, I have ADHD. Like, I need to be focused on one thing, because if I change my attention to food, then I'm gonna want to watch YouTube, and then I'm gonna watch YouTube, and then I'm gonna forget to read, and then it's just gonna be a whole thing, and I'm never gonna get my book finished. Oh my gosh, another person said that they hate bully romance, and that they hate when it's full on hate. I think the moment I realized I even liked bully romances was because I read Bully by Penelope Douglas, and I was like, it's kind of good. But you see, here's the thing, this person said, I hate it when it's full on hate. I don't like it when when books are marketed as enemies to lovers or hate to love, if it's not full on hate. Like, it's one thing when the characters dislike each other slightly and they kind of like have banter. I don't consider that enemies to lovers or hate on hate. Like The Hating Game, for example, it was very one-sided. Like, Lucy doesn't like Josh, it's not the other way around, or like they don't like despise each other. It's literally just very one-sided, so I don't think it's hate to love, you know? Someone said they don't like the Lux Saga, but they love Twilight. Okay, if you don't know what the Lux Saga is, that is one of Jennifer L. Armentrout's like OG series, her OG like YA paranormal series, and that I was raised on those books. Okay, I reread that series like at least twice a year. It's so fun for me, and it's very you know, old school YA, especially because it was an alien paranormal romance, which we did not get those. We mostly got like fallen angels or vampires, werewolves, like that kind of stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed the Lux Saga. That kind of hurts my heart that this person didn't like it, but hey. This is actually my friend, and she said, y'all have too much drama in the community. Girl, you are speaking facts. Okay, we do have a lot of drama in the book community for whatever reason. It's not really an unpopular opinion, but I just thought it was funny. So I just realized my earring fell in the beginning of the video and I never picked it back up and put it back on. Ebooks are better than paper. This is hard for me because I agree. I think that ebooks are better, and it's weird because I love owning physical copies of books, and I think when I was younger I liked reading a lot more physically, and now for some reason, because when I was younger we couldn't really like afford to get hardcovers and paperbacks of books, I would just always read them on my phone, and I got used to that. So I read a lot faster on my phone. It's a lot more comfortable to find a reading position when you're reading on your phone. So yeah, I actually agree that ebooks are better than paper, but it is really fun owning physical copies, and if I really like a book, I will reread it physically. From Blood and Ash is not good. Ooh, again, I haven't read From Blood and Ash, but I love Jennifer L. Armentrout. I can't really add to that. Like, I don't know what to say. I haven't read the book. The Folk of the Air series, aka the Cruel Prince series, is trash. If you don't like political, like YA heavy books, then I see where you're coming from. I don't know, like, I'm thinking if I were to read The Cruel Prince now, I probably wouldn't like it, but because I read it when I did, I was obsessed. I binged the fuck out of those books. They were so good and so fun for me, but I do understand why a lot of people don't like them, because like it is really YA political heavy, and it has to do a lot like with like courts and, you know, the world building and the plot. There honestly wasn't barely any plot in those books, and I think that it was pretty much character driven, and if you didn't really like the characters, then you're probably not gonna like the book. So this person says 9 times out of 10 I don't really look at the map in the book. I was honestly the same way, but mostly because I would read on my phone in ebooks, and the maps are always like this big. I don't know why they make them so small in the books, but when I started to read books physically, I would kind of just like look back at the map when I needed to. But that's interesting because I personally need a visual sometimes, just to kind of like have a slight idea of what's going on and like what the world looks like. Another person said Cruel Prince is good but overrated. Oh, this one, half of booktube is more into buying books than actually reading them. And then they had the nerve to put the blushing face emoji. Like, what the hell, you're just gonna read me and then blush? It's a little bit rude if you ask me. I agree. I think in the book community in general, we tend to buy a lot of books and feel pressured to buy a lot of books. To be honest, I don't really care, because like, it's your money, do what you want with your money, you know. I am the absolute last person who should be speaking on buying books, because then I'd be a hypocrite. So the next one says it ends with that should not be categorized as romance. I agree, it should not be categorized as romance. I think this is a big problem that I have with book talk is that they love saying that It Ends With Us is a romance book, and it is literally not a romance book. It deals with a lot of heavy topics. It should definitely have trigger warnings. I think the way it was written makes people think that it's a romance book, which is like another huge problem I have with the book. But yeah, I agree. I think It Ends With Us should not be categorized as romance. Bookshelf tours are boring. Oh my gosh, I love bookshelf tours, especially if like you have really stunning bookshelves. I want to see exactly how you organize them. I want you to show me every single book on there. Oh, this one's unpopular. Okay, so it's coming from the Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and it says, I can't stand Connor Cobalt. To be honest, I actually do like Connor. He's not my favorite character by any means. I like Connor's relationship with Lo. If you haven't read the series, you're probably like, Mika, what the hell are you talking about? But I really like Connor's relationship with Lo. But Connor by himself, I kind of just like don't care, you know? The next one says, readathons sound absolutely miserable. I think it also depends on the kind of readathon you're doing and who you're doing it with. Self-promo, but I recently did a 48-hour readathon with my friend Becca, and it was so much fun. I got so many books read, and it got me out of my reading slump, and it was just great. Someone said, y'all are really gonna hate me for this, but Sarah J. Maas is not as problematic of an author as everyone says. I'll just let that one marinate. Someone said, bring back the dystopian era. I don't know if the world is ready to bring back the dystopian era. Let's have that conversation, actually. I think dystopians were such a moment in time. Like, we had the fifth wave, we had the Hunger Games. I personally really liked dystopians. I thought that they were such an interesting concept, seeing all the different ways our world can just crumble. Honestly, nowadays that's just looking a little bit too realistic. I feel like that's the reason why dystopians kind of like died down. No one really wants to see the fucked up ways we already know our like world works. But I would like to see a good dystopian be brought back. I haven't read a good dystopian in a hot minute. Adults wanting smut and YA will forever be weird. There's other books for that. That is a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. I feel like there's a difference between wanting like sex positive YA books and like smut in a YA book. I don't think that there should be smut in a YA book. I do think there should be more sex positive YA books. Oh my god, this person said they don't like the Hunger Games. Okay, that was personal. That was personal. All right, so I'm gonna move on to Twitter. Someone said, not reading a book because it's overhyped or rating a book bad solely because of that reason is such an annoying thing to do. I actually agree on this 100%. I'm one of those people where if a book is overhyped, I tend to let the hype die down before I read it, just because I don't want any, you know, outside factors judging my personal experience while reading the book. But I will never completely write off a book just because I think it's overhyped. I think that that idea is really weird. I don't know why people do that. And I have seen people rate books on Goodreads very badly just because they think it's like overhyped, not even having read the book. It's like they just don't want to read it because they think it's overhyped, and so they rate it badly. And I'm like, first of all, why? Second of all, why? My friend Mel says, I'd rather have no rep at all than bad rep. If you're gonna give me bad rep, just leave that shit outside the fucking door. I will take a white character and just fucking self-insert that shit. Like, I will pretend that she is black if it'll save me from the horrendous rep that we get sometimes in books. Like, I just would rather not feel that pain. Six of Crows is one of the most boring, if not the most boring book I've ever read. My camera's about to die. I'm gonna try to literally film as much as I possibly can. This person said young adult is way overrated. I disagree 110%. I think young adult is very important. The reason I started reading was because of young adult books. Are adults like the only people who deserve to read? I don't know. Like, where is this idea coming from that adults should be the only people to read books? Like, I just don't get that. This person said a fantasy book doesn't need to be 800 to 900 pages for the plot to develop. Yes and no, because sometimes I do be having fun reading that 800 and 900 pages. I understand why a lot of people just wouldn't want to put themselves through that. It is a lot of reading, and some people just like, I don't know, don't want to do that, which I get. No one is good at writing murder mystery books anymore. Everything's been done and I'm never surprised at the plot twist. It's not the author's fault more than the way too big amounts of books about murder. There's no new recipe, so everything is something I've already read. I have noticed this with like the synopsis of thrillers and murder mysteries. They all literally sound the exact same to me, which is why I feel like I have such a problem picking them, because I'm like, so I don't really know what to read, if that makes sense. So I agree with that. I think that there's just too many now. This one's good. This person said, I believe that a lot of the hate towards bookish tropes or stuff we do with our books comes from watching other people hate it. So true. Truer words have never been spoken. And then they also went to say, I for one had no problem with dog-earing pages or breaking spines until I caught it in other people's hate. It happens with certain books too. I definitely agree with that. I think with, you know, Twitter and social media, it's really easy to jump on trends that we see happening. If we see a popular booktuber or a popular creator not like a really popular book, we're gonna be like, huh, like maybe they're making points. And I personally think that you can see something and see the issues in it that you didn't notice before and completely change your opinion on it. That happens all the time. However, I do think that a lot of times I see creators who like were obsessed with a book or a series or an author all of a sudden like completely stop liking that author or series once they do something problematic or get canceled for something, which if they're canceled for being racist or like good reasons, it makes complete sense. Like I completely understand that. But then they go on to like stan other problematic authors, and it's kind of like, okay, you're not standing this problematic author because they're widely disliked by the masses, but because no one's talking about that problematic author, you like openly are okay with that and okay with reading their books and talking about it. It's just giving very much hypocrite. It's really bad of me, but if a booktuber slash book talker likes a book I absolutely hated, I don't trust their recommendations. I mean, at the end of the day, not everyone is going to like your favorite book, and if they do like a book that you didn't like, that's fine. I mean, a lot of my friends that I trust their opinions have liked books that I personally didn't like, and I think it's more so just not everyone has the same reading taste. Like, we can like a lot of the same books, but that doesn't mean that you like dark romance, even though I love dark romance. You know what I mean? I can recommend you a cute fluffy contemporary if that's what you prefer, but that doesn't mean I'm going to recommend you like a dark romance because I know you don't like dark romance. It's okay for people to like books that you don't like. So Daria says, I prefer listening to romances on audio than reading them. That is definitely unpopular in my opinion. I much rather prefer reading a romance than listening to it on audio. I've tried audiobooks and they're just not for me. The only audiobook I've ever really liked was Fairest by Marissa Meyer, and I'm currently reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I'm reading it physically while listening to the audiobook, and that is life-changing. It feels like I'm daydreaming while reading the book. I'm obsessed. But listening to romances, I don't know about all that. I think it's because I self-insert too much. Allison says, not every book has to be a literary masterpiece, and readers can enjoy books just for the entertainment aspect and not dissect every word. Preach to the motherfucking choir. There are some like romance books and some cute little fun YA books that I'm like, this is literally everything I've ever wanted and more, but a lot of the times it's really never that deep. And I think that the amount of people who really sit there and try to like analyze the heck out of YA books or dark romance books or just regular romance books, it's like, it's not that deep. It's just for enjoyment. Like, we're just here to have a good time. The fake dating and the only one bed tropes are annoying and cliched and need to disappear. I was one of the people who loved fake dating, and I loved the only one bed trope. I do still like fake dating if it's done well. I do think it's overdone now, but if done right, it's still very good. However, the only one bed trope, I don't really feel anything with it anymore. I don't really care about the only one bed trope, and I think it's because it's done in like every single romance book that I've recently read, so it kind of just lost its momentum. Book Talk and Book Twitter always push a book into the smut or spicy category, but some of those books have abusive or triggering content. I've noticed too with Book Talk, it's a lot of new readers, and not saying that like you aren't a valid reader if you're new to reading, but I do think that the more books you read, the more you kind of like have an understanding for previous books you've read, or the more understanding you have in general for the type of you know, content that you are intaking and promoting to other people. I know for me, a lot of the books that I read when I first started reading, I would never in 1,000 years recommend it now, because they were very problematic, very triggering, and definitely not worth talking about. But I think when you are kind of like new-ish to reading, you don't really think that deep into it, and I think that might be the case with a lot of people on BookTok. That's just like my opinion on it. I feel like that could be unpopular too, but that's just my take. So Lady Ambrosia says, dark romance settings in high school don't make sense. Like, how is a teenager so unruly and running high school and they're into hardcore BDSM? Where are the actual adults? I'm gonna be honest, I love dark romance settings in high school. I know it's unrealistic. I think that's why I like it. It's just so unrealistic. And when I was, you know, in high school and I was like super young, I would read those all the time, and I just thought they were so much fun to read. So I think that is more so like the target audience, but I understand where you're coming from. So this person said, Wuthering Heights is literally not a love story. It's about how capitalism continues to fuck over anyone who is other. Another one says, just because you can differentiate between reality and fiction doesn't mean others can't. If I want to read a book about a toxic relationship, then so be it. Mind your business. Which, I mean, also we should actually gatekeep books from being adapted into movies and TV shows. I say this all the time. I completely agree. Some books I can definitely see being TV shows and movies. Others, I'm like, why? Like, why did we need to do that? Like, we should have just left it where she was. She was doing fine as a book. I love this one. No book is overhyped. It's loved by a large number of audience, and you just don't happen to fit in it, which is completely fine. I want that posted everywhere. If I could pay for a billboard and just have that up there. That's so true. Like, just because you don't fit into the masses doesn't mean that the book is overhyped. It just means you didn't like the book. This person says, I literally do not care what books people dislike. I only want positive recs. Every conversation on bad books lacks nuance and is not productive. I think that it depends on the bad book. I think that if the bad book has racism or very important issues that should be discussed, it is very productive. Then this person says, enemies to lovers is starting to get kind of boring and cliche. I completely agree. I think that when it first started, it was fun, cute, fresh. Like, we had so many new concepts when it came to enemies to lovers, but I think that now it's really overdone, and a lot of the time people don't even really grasp the idea of enemies to lovers. Like, if I'm getting an enemies to lovers, I want the characters to absolutely hate each other, which is another reason why friends to lovers stays being that girl, because it never gets old, like, ever. All right, so the last one says, I'm not a fan of the jerky guy in romance books. Like, what is so attractive about a guy being a complete ass? Listen, some of us are sick in the head, and by some of us I mean me. I mean, I do like the sweet cute guys in romance, but I also do really like the jerks. It depends on the type of romance book that I'm reading and the type of mood I'm in. But in real life, I definitely would not take that for shit. Like, I do not want a jerk or an asshole. Like, I want someone who to treat me like a fucking princess. But in books, because I know it's like fiction and not real, it's fun to read about like a jerky character being a fucking simp for a girl. Like, I don't know, I love that. But I think that is all the unpopular opinions I had to share with you guys. You guys really went in. I had such a great time reading them. Very late right now. I'm very tired. My ankle really hurts, so I think I'm gonna end this video. If you want to check out Book of the Month, make sure you use code mikaAugust at checkout in order to get your first book for only $9.99. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps your girl out. And yeah, I love you guys so much. I'm excited to see what you guys have to say down below in the comments, and I will see you all in my next video. Mwah. Bye.
East and the west, I'm racking up on my breath. Power on me, I'm feeling just like a Tesla. Too much tree, the smoke is making my chest hurt. Girl on me, I'm thinking I should've rest her. Hey, I'm thinking I should've rest all night long. She putting me to the test. Got a lot on, I'm trying to take out the rest.